Hi, everybody. It's Matthew Mashler from Signature Real Estate Finder. And, I love doing these videos for you guys, and I love getting the feedback. 3 times in the last few weeks, I've got the question, should I use a lockbox on my listing? Either from an agent, should I use a lockbox on my listings, or from a seller, do you use a lockbox? I can't say yes or no, right? There's some concerns, there's some controversy. Should you use one? Some people say they hate them. For me, this started about 3 weeks ago. Someone said to me, hey, Matt, if you use lockboxes on your listings, that will increase the number of showings you have because the barrier to entry, people will be more likely to show the property if there's a lockbox. In general, I always tell my agents, the easier it is for you to make the property available to see, the better you will do. As a real estate agent, the easier it will be to sell the property. How many times have we been in a situation where we tried to show a property and the listing agent couldn't do it because they were getting their hair done, or they were at the beach, or they were not answering their phone? So you want to make sure when you have a listing, you want to make sure that you can show your property, right? Have coverage, have someone who can show if you're not around. You want to show during the day or at night or on weekends, because if you can't show your property, you can't sell your property. But the answer to being able to show the property easily isn't always the lockbox. For me, if the property is occupied, if someone's living in the property, you can't put a lockbox on it and just allow a buyer's agent to come and go. So you need the appointment, you need to coordinate with the person who's living there, and a lockbox isn't the answer to your problem. We've identified the problem, you want to be able to show your listing, but the lockbox isn't the solution. Right? I've seen other videos where people said you don't want to use a lockbox because someone will let the dog out or they don't always work. Well, yeah, of course. Even an agent shouldn't let the dog out. And if they don't work, then you can't use. We're not talking about, should we use this product? No, they don't work. No, these lockbox work. They work great. They give me, because of the technology, if a buyer accesses them and opens up the box, the buyer's agent, not the buyer themselves, I get notification of who opened the box and when they open the box. And it's a great technology, but I only use it when my listing is vacant. If I have a vacant listing, a 3-2 or a 5-bedroom vacant property that doesn't have furniture, then what am I trying to protect? So on a vacant property, sure, put a lockbox on, because you want buyer's agents to be able to show quickly and easily. But if the property has art, if it has furniture, if it has people in it, you can't give that access. So really, that sums it up. I think one of the reasons why agents give lockboxes a bad name has nothing to do with the lockbox. It's that sellers don't want that. Why wouldn't the seller want it? Because the seller wants the safety and security of knowing that you are going to come to the house and do your job and show the listing, right? And if you're just going to throw a lockbox on it, and probably the seller was burned before. They were living in a property, the agent put a lockbox on it, and buyers were showing up unannounced, right? So I think the reason why agents are so anti-lockbox is to align themselves with the seller, to make them feel superior and make sure that they assure the seller, oh yeah, I won't use a lockbox, because the sellers are a little bit predisposed to not like them. I always say, when someone goes to the Apple store, they look at the phone. When someone goes to the jewelry store, they look at the watch. When someone goes to buy a house and there's all these barriers to entry, you have to make an appointment, they're not available on this day, let me see how much money you have in the bank. I've never bought a product, a car, a piece of jewelry, a watch, and a piece of electronics where the salesman said to me, can you afford this? How much money do you have in your bank? You look to see first if you want the product, and if you do, then you can discuss the finances. So barriers to entry, whatever they are bad. You want to make sure that when you're marketing your property, you can show it. The person that says use a lockbox because you want to be able to show, the person that says don't use a lockbox because they don't work or they don't provide security, both are right, but use the lockbox in the right situation. And if you have any questions, that's what I'm here for. I'm a resource for my agents, and I'm a resource for my buyers and my customers and my sellers. Let's have a conversation.